And welcome to HS Game Time Live. I am Pep Fernandez, Week 2 edition. We are very excited about this show. A lot of great highlights and scores coming your way. Just an update on the big Centennial versus Long Beach Poly game. And Centennial down right now, 35-28 late in the fourth quarter, just about a minute to play. Huskies do have the ball, but they're pinned up on their own 32-yard line. So we'll see if they can drive the length of the field and tie this thing up or even take the lead on the Jackrabbits in a huge game, Centennial and Long Beach Poly. All right, let's go straight to the highlights. One of the big games tonight that went to overtime. We've got first half highlights for you. Great Oak taking on the Rancho Verde. Angel, let's take them out there to Moreno Valley as check them out. The Mustangs all fired up, doing the Ray Lewis dance to get this one going against the Wolfpack. On the very first play from scrimmage, the Wolfpack's Nick Fisher going 69 yards to the paint. 7-zip Great Oak just 14 seconds into the game. Great run by Fisher. But the Rancho Verde would strike back with the green-eyed dragon. Keyshawn Slaughter, he's got green eyes, and that's why they call him the green-eyed dragon. He can run. Later on that drive, Sharon Jones to Cedric Peterson for the touchdown. There he is right behind the referee. That tied the game at 7 apiece. The Wolfpack's Demetric Felton, 36 yards on this scoring scamper, and Great Oak is back out in front, 14-7. Great Oak, well, the cheerleaders after each touchdown, they're doing push-ups. Maybe the buffest cheerleaders in the inland area if they're doing push-ups after all those touchdowns. And it was a high-scoring game tonight. Well, the Wolfpack's Kevin Knight coming up there with the sack for Great Oak. And then later, Rancho Verde playing some defense as well in this one. Isaiah McGraw coming up with the INT for Rancho Verde. And then on the ensuing drive, they would capitalize on their favorite pastry, the turnover. Jones to Tyler Washington for the touchdown strike. It was 14-14 at that point, and you could just tell this one was going down to the wire in a very close back-and-forth game. And Angel, we can come back here live in the studio, and I can just tell them the final score, you ready for this? 43-42 in overtime. Great Oak beats the Rancho Verde. So a huge win by the Wolfpack, 43-42 in overtime. Now we've got Roosevelt versus Murrieta Valley highlights ready to go. We'll get to that in about 10 minutes later in the show, so please hang around for that. We'll also give you an update on the big Centennial versus Long Beach Poly. But right now, the rundown, oh wait, hold on, timeout. Poly wins. It is a final. Javier Cabrera, our big stat guy over here, says Long Beach Poly has defeated Centennial by a final score of 35-28. So we told you the Huskies did have the ball with about a minute to play, but apparently that drive has come up empty as Centennial loses to Long Beach Poly 35-28. All right, Roosevelt Murrieta Valley coming your way. Another great game there. In about 10 minutes, we'll have the highlights. But first, let's go down to Elsinore where Santiago is taking on the Tigers down there. Angel, let's take them down there and check out the highlights between the Sharks and the Tigers. And Santiago still looking for their first win of the season. That was the Elsinore game. So, the Tigers, they were looking to knock off the Sharks, who had gotten to a couple high-scoring games early in the season with Mission Viejo as well as Hart. And let's go down there as the Sharks looking for their first win of the season. Family night out Elsinore. We're one big happy family here at HS Game Time as well, so we know exactly what they're doing. All right, Santiago and Elsinore early in this one. That was Blake Barnett going 13 yards to Duran for the touchdown there. And then later it's Blake Barnett to Joey Camarillo. That makes it 14-7 after that Shane Pico touchdown. And then Elsinore quarterback Tommy Wilson, 23 yards to Jacob Guglielmana. I think that's his name, Guglielmana. And then it's Blake Barnett going 12 yards to Camarillo. Again, that gave the Sharks a 21-13 lead. Santiago quarterback Blake Barnett has been lighting it up. This time hooks up with Duran. Again, that puts the Sharks up 28-13. On the ensuing kickoff, though, check out Shane Pico. This kid is a star for Elsinore. Takes this one all the way back. You are not going to get him all the way in for the score. That cuts the lead to 28-21 for the Sharks. But then there's Camarillo muscling up. Another Santiago touchdown. Final score, Santiago wins 35-21. So the Sharks get in the win column for the first time this season. All right, Canyon Springs and Jurupa Hills. If you got the highlights, let's just go ahead and roll them, Angel. We got tons of highlights tonight. That's what makes this show great. Hey, they used the play cards out there at Jurupa Hills. That was like Cam Newton. I think there's some bling. There's Matt Kemp, some pancakes, the planet Venus. I have no idea what that means, but apparently they do. Well, on this play, DJ Wright, the quarterback, looking for the end zone, but he is picked off by the Cougars. Maxwell Perry coming up with the pick in the paint. The Spartans looking for some defensive stops as well. Tyler Drake leading the way on that loss. And then later, off the Canyon Springs exchange, a fumble. Canyon Springs recovers, but Cameron Howard is there for Jurupa Hills. The Spartans get the ball back. Aaron Banks, like money in the banks, breaks off this big run, and the Spartans are looking to cash in with a touchdown before halftime. Later on that drive, it's DJ Wright. That's my DJ. Nothing wrong with this pass to Corday Roberts for the touchdown. Jurupa Hills pulls within 2, down 15-13. Canyon Springs gets the ball back, looking for some insurance for that lead. Cody Cervantes with a nice run here, but the Cougars come up empty on that drive. That left Jurupa Hills just enough time for one more drive. Another big carry for Banks sets up Oscar Medina for a field goal before halftime. Jurupa Hills took a 16-15 lead. And I think we have a final score from this game. And it was, let's see, I don't see it in front of me, but we will have it in the scoreboards. Jurupa Hills did have a 16. Hey, Hav, did we have a Jurupa Hills and Canyon Springs final score? I didn't see it on here. I don't see it in front of me right now, but Jurupa Hills and, let's see. I don't know, I can't find it here, but I'm sure we've got it. So, but Jurupa Hills was leading 16-15 at the break. It was a close game, and as we saw that.
29-22 Canyon Springs.
Canyon Springs wins, 29-22. If Javier Cabrera said it, it must be true. You can't believe everything on Twitter or the internet, but you believe your boy Hav. And it's on our big whiteboard here at the Press Enterprise, which makes it legit, so that's cool. All right, so Canyon Springs a winner, 29-22. If you're following at home, let's write that down. I'm going to do that right now in my notes because we will show those highlights one more time later in the show. If you're just joining us, Centennial coming up just a little bit short in that big game against Long Beach Poly by a final score of 35-28. So Matt Logan and the Huskies losing a big game against another state power. All right, we've got Murrieta Valley and Roosevelt coming up just a little bit later in the show. That was the game of the week, a big-time battle between two 2-0 teams. But right now, we're continuing the show with Vista, Murrieta, and Yucaipa. Now, the Thunderbirds have always been a good team, and they wanted to get tested against the very best. And when you're talking about the very best, you are talking about Vista, Murrieta. So, Angel, let's roll those highlights from Thunderbird Stadium. Our guy, Kyle Glazer, will come in a little bit later in the show and talk about this one, but it was all Vista Murrieta from the very beginning. That was Colton Gerhardt to Jamie Nunley for the score. That made it 14-zip. And then Colton Gerhardt calling his own number, 67 yards to the house, 21-zip Broncos, and they were still in the first quarter. Now we move to the second, and Colton Gerhardt going to the air on this pass play. Dominic Marmolejo hauls it in for a touchdown, 28-0. Broncos all over the T-Birds. Still in the second quarter, Keith Ford gets the call. He goes in from 4 yards out as Vista Murrieta led 38-0 at halftime, and the final score was 52-13. So Vista Murrieta rolls on the road at Yucaipa. All right, Lakeside and Temecula Valley. We were hoping to get Temecula Valley last week. We didn't, but we got them this week. So a week late, but still we got them. So that's good news. And Lakeside with their new head coach, Andy Penwarden, a former Humboldt State Lumberjack like myself, cheering for him, hoping he gets a win down there with the Lancers. But they were taking on an upstart Golden Bears team led by the quarterback, Kyle Plantier. Angel, let's roll that beautiful Temecula Valley footage. And they have got a great fan section, and they were going nuts. They were loving it. They were hoping for a big win against Lakeside. And there's Kyle Plantier talking on the old headset, getting the plays. And Javier putting the camera right there, getting a good shot. Later, Plantier now in the highlights, rolls out, fires off that pass, and he hooks up with Greg Jensen for the touchdown. That made it 7-zip in the first quarter. Then later, Kyle hooks up with Greg Jensen again, 14-zip. Temecula Valley over Lakeside. Still in the opening frame, Garrison Flores gets the call. Get in there! And that, actually, he almost got it in there. That would set up, though. Garrison, he did work. Time to get paid. 21 zip. Temecula Valley leading this one. Second quarter. Kyle Plantier airs it out to Kumar Kalambi for the touchdown. 28-0 Temecula Valley at that point. And Temecula Valley would win this one by a final of, Hav, do you have that one, the final? I'm looking down at my sheet. Lakeside and Temecula Valley. I wish this was in alphabetical order. 49-0? 49-0 Temecula Valley. Kyle Plantier. Huh? 40. 40. 40, right? 40. 40, there it is. 40 zip Temecula Valley, a winner. All right, back here live in the studio. San G and Ramona. Now, we had not seen San Gorgonio on film yet this season. We had heard a lot of great things about the Spartans. We saw them tonight at Ramona Stadium, and San G is very, very good. Angel was at that game. Let's go ahead and roll that video. And the Rams had an uphill battle against a San G team that could climb into the top 10 rankings for our HS Game Time rankings. They are that good, and the Rams saw why tonight. Early in this one, first quarter, they go to work. Spartans quarterback Rashid Mills finds Nathan Meadors for the touchdown, and just the beginning of a very long night for Ramona at Ramona Stadium. That's Dante Finney running to the paint, scooting down the sideline for another San G touchdown. And Alvin Bibbs, he gets the call. He gets into the paint for another San G score. Just one after the other. They built a big lead in the first half. Ramona with the ball now, but quarterback Damon Mays picked off by Meadors. That guy does it all. Touchdown catches, interceptions, big play maker for San G Meadors. So San G goes back to work on offense. It's Finney. He gets the call again. Double deuce into the paint for another San Gorgonio touchdown. Rashid Mills now, the quarterback, calling his own number, scoots in and through the traffic, finds the end zone. And then one more Finney touchdown for San Gorgonio. As we mentioned, they were all over Ramona tonight. And can't find the score in front of me, but we know San G won. You know what? We really need to get these in alphabetical order. I'm not that smart. You can come back here live in the studio. I'm not that smart to figure this out. There's tons of scores, and if they were in alphabetical order, I could really 62-0. Is that what you got? That's what we got. 62-0 San G over Ramona. So San G kind of building up some hype around them as they're hoping to crack our HS Game Time top 10 rankings. All right, you just saw one of the scoreboards. Let's go there next. We're going to have King and La Sierra highlights in the Saturday show. We might get some when we bring Dennis Pope, our reporter, on. He's going to talk about the King La Sierra game, which King easily won, and maybe get some video, but for sure we'll have the highlights for the big Saturday scouting reports. All right, to the scoreboards, and we'll break down some of these games. As we are telling you, Long Beach Poly and Centennial playing in a game with huge implications in terms of the state bowl game and where they might be seated. Long Beach Poly, 35-28 over Centennial, and the Huskies did have the ball late in the fourth quarter, but could not put together a game-tying drive as the Huskies fall 35-28. Heritage and Beaumont, we will have highlights of this one in the Saturday show. All Heritage all the time, 49-13. The Patriots with no trouble in B-City. Also tonight, Grand Terrace. How about the Titans? Big ups to them. They get a win 37-28 against Arroyo Valley. Also in week 2, kind of a surprise. We were talking about this in the newsroom. Kaiser falling to Cajon. Kaiser was one of those teams inside the HS Game Time top 10 rankings, but Cajon knocks them off on their home field 21-15. Big win for the Cowboys. Also tonight, Jurupa Hills and Canyon Springs, you just saw the highlights. Jurupa Hills did have the lead at the half, but Canyon Springs comes back in the second half by a score of 29-22. Also tonight, Chaparral on the road at Oceanside, arguably the number 1 team out of the San Diego section, and Oceanside with a win against the Pumas, 35-14, your final score. Colton and Eisenhower Ike rolling past the Yellow Jackets, 51-24. Canyon and Corona. Now, EPJ, Eric Paul Johnson, was at this one, and Corona got off to a rough start and could not recover. Canyon from Anaheim wins 45-17. Next up, Santiago and Elsinore. If you joined us in the beginning of the show, you saw the highlights. We'll show them again just a little bit later, but the Sharks recording their first win of the season by a final score of 35-21. Also tonight in Week 2, 43-42. Yes, that was the final in overtime. Great Oak a winner on the road at the Rancho Verde. We had some first half highlights, and you could tell from the very start this was going to be a back and forth battle with both teams exchanging the lead. But Great Oak comes out on top in the end, 43-42 in overtime. Let's go to the next score, Hav. And also from week number 2, as some of these games kind of get a little better. Not this one, though. Hemet, clearly better than Indio. 58-0, the final score. Big win for my boy Jeff Reitz and the Bulldogs. All right, also tonight, Jurupa Valley and Rim of the World. The Fighting Scots win up on the mountain 34-0 against Supa Dupa Jurupa Valley. Also tonight in week number 2, we've got King and La Sierra. We're going to be working on those highlights. Try to get them on a little bit later in the show when Dennis Pope comes on to kind of break down that game. He was there covering it. But for sure, we'll have them in the big Saturday scouting report. So King a winner 34-0 against La Sierra. Temecula Valley, you saw the highlights with Kyle Plantier and the Golden Bears besting Lakeside 40-0, the final score. Temecula Valley off to a great start this season. West Valley, Paloma Valley. We will have highlights of this game. And as you can see, a lot of Paloma Valley action. 56-12, the Wildcats rolling past the Mustangs from West Valley. All right, also Valley View and Patriot. The Eagles with a compelling win. Patriot's a good team, 35-6, so that's a very strong win for the Valley View Eagles. Man, we've got a lot of scores. 62-0 San G over Ramona. We had the highlights for you. We'll show you a little bit later in the show the highlights once again. Angel was out there, and San G was just on a roll in the first half. They are looking very strong, and maybe the team to beat in the San Andreas League this season. Also tonight, St. Bonaventure and Rev. I was at a couple games tonight. People were asking me, how are the Wildcats doing on the road at St. Bonnie? Well, Redlands East Valley falls in Ventura 35-14. I was told that the star quarterback for St. Bonaventure, Ricky Town, who is already verbally committed to the University of Alabama Crimson Tide, did not play in this game, and St. Bonaventure still picked up the win 35-14, the final score. Summit and Miller, the Skyhawks record the win, a 10-point win against Miller, 24-14, the final. Let's see, we've got a couple more, I think, right? Vista, Murrieta, Yucaipa, you saw the highlights. The Broncos built that early lead and never looked back, 52-13, defeating Yucaipa. And let's see, a couple more scoreboards. Vista Del Lago and Cathedral City. The Ravens lose on the road at Cat City, 42-6. And San Jacinto and Apple Valley. Apple Valley just a couple better than the Tigers, 18-14. Chaffee and Moval. The Vikings get a win, 35-21. And a couple more before we get back to the highlights. Murrieta, Mesa, and Tockwitz. Did we show those highlights yet? I don't think we did. We have not. We have not shown those highlights yet. And when I was going through the video, I thought, man, we don't have any touchdowns. This must have been a defensive struggle. I think we had a field goal. Well, I guess it makes a lot of sense now because I see the final score, 13-6. Murrieta Mesa defeats Tockwitz. Murrieta Valley over Roosevelt. That was the game of the week. Two 2-0 teams, and the Nighthawks win 45-34. Great game. It's always good when a team from the Big 8 and the team from the Southwestern League battle, and Murrieta Valley comes out on top in this one, 45-34. Those highlights are right around the corner. Norco and Larry Baker get a win, 37-16 against Etowanda. And let's see, La Quinta and North, yeah, we got that straightened out. La Quinta defeats North 49-7, so the Huskies still looking for their first win in their brand new stadium on campus at J-Dub. All right, so that's it for the scores. All right, so here's the deal. We are going to have the Murrieta Valley Roosevelt highlights, Tahquitz and Murrieta Mesa coming up in just a moment. And my guy Adam Drexler just gave me the shot sheet. That's our lingo for the highlights for the big, let's see, King and La Sierra, right? It's coming up later in the show. I was hoping we'd get it. But right now, just a reminder, every Tuesday and Thursday, I join Stu, Tiffany, and Jimbo on KCal Rocks 96.7 FM, and we talk high school football and national headlines as well in the sports world. And Jimbo, if you know him, he likes to say he was a high school football star in the Midwest. That's what he tells us. I don't know if he was, but that's what he likes to say on the radio. Anyways, he likes to recall this story of how he used to put fans in the stands, and it wasn't because he was a star player. Just watch. 3.
Hey Pep, how you doing, man? Here with another Jimbo's Jocular moment, man. You could probably tell that I'm built like a receiver. You know, not one of those tall, lanky, talented ones, but I was short and squatty. But good hands, good hands.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things to do is, there's something called a tailbone pad. I don't know if they still have those, but back when I played, you had to wear this tailbone pad that was about like this big, and it came down your backside to protect your tailbone. As a little extra gift to some of the classmates, I would not wear my tailbone pad so I could show off my derriere, my fine little tushy that I had. So I think that increased attendance at the games. So what I'm telling you is if you want big attendance at your high school games, guys, if you ain't playing as much, you may want to take out the tailbone pad to get the spectators something to look at. And that's my jocular moment.
What are you going to do with that guy? Can never take him anywhere. Always talking about his high school football glory days, but apparently he was good. But you'll have to ask him. All right, back to the highlights. Roosevelt against Murrieta Valley. Thanks so much for watching HS Game Time Live. I know a lot of you are tuning in to see who won this big-time battle between a 2-0 team from the Big 8 League and a 2-0 team from the Southwestern League. Let's go to the highlights. Angel, down there at Murrieta Valley. Our guy Chris Erkley was at the game. He said it was packed. It was like a playoff-like atmosphere. Big time. We picked things up in the third quarter. Mustangs quarterback Joseph Muriel to praise Obizu. I hope I got that name right for the touchdown. Roosevelt up 28-24 in the third quarter. This game was far from being done. The Nighthawks quarterback Preston Miller hooks it with Hobie T. It's the big pass play for Murrieta Valley. You got to dig their uniforms, the new helmets with the wings on the side, kind of Oregon-ish, University of Oregon Ducks. You feeling me? Michael Robles gets the call for Murrieta Valley, muscles in for the touchdown, and the Nighthawks are back in front, 31-28. Next up, Roosevelt with the ball. James Carradine gets the call here. He will break off a big run for Roosevelt. The Deuce getting loose. Later on that same drive, it's Muriel to Jalen Brown for the touchdown pass, and Roosevelt is back up leading 34-31. But here comes Murrieta Valley once again. Robles in for the score. Nighthawks on top, 38-34. Next offensive drive for Murrieta Valley. Robles again, the dude will just not take no for an answer. Staying on his feet, picking up more yards. On that same drive, number 9, Jordan Silva has the ball. Now, I couldn't quite see how he got the ball. He looks like a lineman to me, but Jordan Silva in for the score, 45-34. Roosevelt with the ball looking to close the gap. They were in the red zone trying to get a touchdown and make things close, but look who's in the end zone. Lafayette Waters, the INT for Murrieta Valley. That would seal the deal. 45-34, that is the final score. And Murrieta Valley is a winner. The Nighthawks improved to 3-0 on the season. Roosevelt drops to 2-1, but still a great showing by Roosevelt. And the Mustangs games against Centennial, Santiago, Norco, those are going to be some big-time games because Roosevelt has obviously turned a corner with head coach Tony Brill because they are looking very, very strong. All right, next up, Tahquitz taking on Murrieta Mesa. We saw the score. It was a low-scoring battle, so I hope you like defense because that's what you're about to get. Let's roll those highlights. Tahquitz and Murrieta Mesa. The Rams all fired up for this one. and they usually score a lot of points. So does Tahquitz, so it's kind of interesting to see a low-scoring game. That's Titans quarterback Fernando Blanco busting off the big run. And then the Rams, Wesley Scott playing some D, gets there and gets the sack for Murrieta Mesa. Then it's the Titans, Christian Bertram repaying the favor. He gets the sack for the Tahquitz Department of Defense. Now it's Tahquitz on offense, trying to get something going and find the paint. Davion Fields Pickett, the catch, and the nice yak, the yards after the catch here. But like I said, not a lot of points in this one, especially in the first half. Rams quarterback Peyton Ewell takes off on the run. That would lead to a field goal for Murrieta Mesa. So they led 3-0, and the final score was 13-6. Murrieta Mesa is a winner. I think I picked Tahquitz in that one, but I finished last in the You Pick 'em contest last year, so I don't know if that means anything. All right, let's go to the HS Game Time Top 10 rankings as they stood heading into tonight. As we saw, Vista Murrieta in at number 2. Centennial was the number 1 team, but they did lose to Long Beach Poly, 35-28. So, will the Huskies likely drop out of the top spot? We will find out. They come out every Wednesday in the Press Enterprise. And then Murrieta Valley with that big win. Heritage also won today, so they will likely stay put. Rev did lose, Kaiser lost, Roosevelt lost, so Rancho Verde lost, so could be a big shakeup in the HS Game Time Top 10 rankings. All right, we're going to rehash all the scores and highlights from tonight, week 2 of the high school football season, but we also had a very busy Thursday night. 5 games last night as part of our Thursday football final. We're going to recap the Thursday night games and be right back with all your scores and highlights from Friday.
Let's head out to Ramona Stadium for Arlington hosting Citrus Hill. The Hawks have not lost a regular season game in years, and they were not about to start on Thursday night. Quarterback Brett Hollingsworth hooks up with Justin Clarkson on this pretty touchdown pass. 7-zip Citrus Hill up in the first quarter. The Hawks back in the red zone looking for more, but the Lions' Wanye Austin comes up with the interception to stop the Citrus Hill scoring opportunity. Later, it's Citrus Hill pinned in near its own end zone, and Arlington gets the safety to make it a 7-2 game. On the very next Citrus Hill offensive drive, Hollingsworth takes off on the run. First down for the Hawks, and Hollingsworth showing off his running skills this season at the Hill. Here's another guy who can run, P.J. Walker, muscling through traffic into the paint for the score, 14-2 Citrus Hill. Later in the second quarter, Hollingsworth with the skills to pay the bills. Airs it out to Jacoby Herring for 6. Citrus Hill wins 41-24 the final. Norte Vista at home for Temecula Canyon. We pick it up in the third quarter. Ken Batdorf's Braves up 21-0. Joseph Jolly, number 31, brings down Marcus Kirkpatrick for the sack. Novi looking to extend their lead, knocking on the door of another score when the Titans' Jacob Zinda comes up with the interception in the back of the end zone. I mean the very back. Just an interception, not good enough for Zinda. Check out the return on the INT. Go ahead, do the math. 109 yards back the other way to get Temescal Canyon on the board. Zinda with the touchdown, and the Titans were trailing 21-7. Novi wasted little time to answer the long pick 6. Anthony Perez scoots 30 yards on this touchdown run to push the Braves' lead to 27-7. The Norte Vista Department of Defense continued to harass the Temescal Canyon offense. Jolly tracking him down, has got another sack. Andrew Martinez and the Braves roll to a big win at home, 27-7 the final score. Next up, Riverside Poly taking on Rubidoux. Pick it up in the first quarter, Poly's David Samuelu breaks off this 30-yard run. And then later on that same drive, it's Devontre Hale, number 9 in case you're checking your roster at home. Hale, the 1-yard touchdown run, 7-zip Poly. Then Rubidoux gets it, cracking on special teams. Roosevelt Carroll fields this punt, and he won't stop until he finds the end zone. 87 yards on the return for the touchdown, and Carroll makes it a 7-6 ball game. Later in the second quarter, Poly quarterback Chandler Droxland goes 9 yards to Mitchell McLaughlin for the score, 14-6 Poly on top. Later in the second frame, Droxland strikes again, 33 yards to Akili Ross, and 21-6, Bears in front. Rubidoux looking to battle back before the half. Jalen Pontius, 35 yards to Jordan Olson, and that would set up this. It's Marvin Carroll, 1 yard on the TD, 21-13, Pauley still on top, and the Bears would add to their lead before the break. Droxland fires this 30-yard touchdown pass to McLaughlin as Pauley led 28-13 at the half. To the third quarter now, the Bears' Ross rips off this 10-yard touchdown run. Pauley goes on to win 45-19. So it's the Redlands Terriers at Los Osos looking for win number 1 this season. Los Osos scored first on a Jason Crane to Deron Burton 34-yard touchdown pass, weaving and bobbing in for the score. 7-zip Grizzlies in front. Zach Lindsay with the 2-yard score, but Redlands misses the extra point, trailing 7-6. Later, it's Los Osos going for the end zone. Malik Page with a great shot at the interception for Redlands, but the Grizzlies, Caleb Rep comes down with it for a touchdown. Los Osos scored 28 unanswered points before the Terriers found the end zone midway through the fourth quarter. It's Crane to Rep for this jump ball touchdown. Los Osos defeats Redlands 35-14. The Terriers fall to 0-3. And the biggest little game on Thursday night, East Valley Division Powers, Linfield Christian and St. Margaret's battling. Rizier Wilkins with a tough run to the paint here for the Lions, and he gave Linfield Christian the early lead, 7-0. Later at St. Margaret's on the doorstep, but Linfield Christian gets the big defensive stop near the goal. Dallas House recovers the fumble for Linfield Christian. The Lions looked like they were ready to pounce on the visitors from St. Margaret's, but Linfield Christian would fall by a final score of 23-7.
Dallas has it. On the snap is recovered by the quarterback.
And welcome back to HS Game Time Live, Week 2 edition. We've got the great Dennis Pope standing by, Kyle Glazer somewhere in the newsroom. He's going to break down his game as well, which was Vista Murrieta taking on Yucaipa. And we've also got the Murrieta Valley Roosevelt highlights coming one more time your way just a little bit later. But first, Great Oak and Rancho Verde. This game went to overtime. We were there in the first half, still got some good action. And we're going to bring that to you first as this game went down, as we said, to overtime, back and forth, a very high-scoring game. So, Angel, let's roll that Rancho Verde highlights as the Mustangs, they were all fired up for this one. They were doing I think it was the Ray Lewis dance before. Isn't that what that guy's doing? The Ray Lewis dance? I think it is. Yeah, before they were running out. So they were all fired up for Great Oak, and I like Great Oak's uniforms. Look good, feel good, play good. That's what I've always said. That's Nick Fisher going 69 yards to the paint, 7-zip, Great Oak up on top, just 14 seconds into the game. But the Rancho Verde would bounce back. That is the green-eyed dragon. Yes, he's got green eyes, so that's what they call him, Keyshawn Slaughter. The nice run there later on that same drive. Sharon Jones to Cedric Peterson behind the zebra. There he is. Touchdown, the Rancho Verde. Game tied at 7. The Wolfpacks, Demetric Felton, 36 yards on this scoring scamper. 14-7, Great Oak on top. And the Great Oak cheerleaders, they must be the most buff cheerleaders in all the inland area because they do push-ups after they score touchdowns. And this one was a high-scoring game, so they were probably really building those muscles. How about some defense? There was a little bit of defense in this high-scoring game. Kevin Knight with the sack for Great Oak. And then the Rancho Verde would repay the favor when Isaiah McGraw gets an interception. So a little bit of defense, I told you, in this one. And the Mustangs would capitalize. Their favorite pastry is the turnover, and they put that into points. That was Sharon Jones to Tyler Washington on the touchdown strike. It was 14-14 at that point, but the final score in this one, 43-42, Great Oak wins in overtime. So a very big win for the Wolfpack on the road at the Rancho Verde. Another big game as Santiago is taking on Elsinore. And the Sharks were looking for their first win of the season, 0-2 to start out 2013. Angel, let's take them down to Elsinore for this one. And it was family night. That's like every night here at HS Game Time, family night. We're just a big family. Blake Barnett, the junior, hooking up here for the touchdown pass. That was Brad Duran for the score, 7-zip. Was it Brad Duran? It was Brad Duran, wasn't it? Yep, it was. And then that was Shane Pico for the score. Then more Sharks. Blake Barnett to Joey Camarillo. 14-7, Santiago on top. Third quarter, Tommy Wilson, the QB for Elsinore, hooks up with Jacob Guglielmana. Adam Drexler made me say that name. Guglielmana, and that made it 14-13. Then Joey Camarillo, another score, 21-13, Santiago. Blake Barnett going back to work. This kid is good. Brad Duran goes in for another score, 28-13, Sharks on top. Ensuing kickoff, it's Shane Pico. Now, if I remember right, he had the HS Game Time top play of the season last year with an incredible run against Heritage. Shane Pico going 97 yards for the touchdown. That made it 28-21, but here comes Camarillo again for a score, 35-21, Santiago, a winner against Elsinore tonight. So a big win for Santiago to get back in the win column after a tough loss to Hearts and also a tough loss to, let's see who was, Mission Viejo last week. All right, Canyon Springs taking on Jurupa Hills, and when I got there, Canyon Springs was up. When I left, Jurupa Hills was up. Final score, we had Canyon Springs winning this thing, but we do have some highlights. Let's take you out to Vista del Lago High School. Angel, let's roll out there. Kind of a neutral site, but I guess Canyon Springs was the home team because it was in Moreno Valley. So Canyon Springs taking on Jurupa Hills, and Jurupa Hills was down to the Cougars 15-6 early in this one. And Jurupa Hills going with the play cards. Cam Newton, some bling, a fancy car, Matt Kemp, pancakes, a model, the planet Venus. Makes sense to me. DJ Wright looking for the end zone here, but Maxwell Perry comes up with the interception in the end zone for Canyon Springs. So Canyon Springs with the ball trying to get something going, but they just cannot run against that Jurupa Hills defense. Tyler Drake leading the way on that loss. Then off the exchange, a fumble. Canyon Springs recovers, but Cameron Howard is there for Jurupa Hills. The Spartans get the ball back. Aaron Banks breaks off this run for Jurupa Hills, and they were looking to cut into that Canyon Springs lead before halftime. Later on that same drive, it's my DJ. Nothing wrong with this pass from Wright to Corday Roberts for the touchdown. Jurupa Hills pulls within two, down 15-13. Canyon Springs gets the ball back, looking for some insurance before that lead. Cody Cervantes, the quarterback, with a nice run here, but the Cougars would come up empty on that drive. That left Jurupa Hills just enough time for one more drive before the half. Another big carry for Banks sets up an Oscar Medina field goal. Jurupa Hills took a 16-15 lead at halftime. But as you heard the final score, Canyon Springs, a winner at Vista del Lago High School, 29-22, the final score. All right, Kyle Glazer is standing by with Vista Murrieta and Yucaipa analysis, and we've also got a little video to go with it. So, Angel, let's roll the video of Yucaipa taking on Vista Murrieta, and as many predicted, Vista Murrieta, one of the top teams in the inland area, Yucaipa trying to join that upper echelon, but there's still a gap, and as we predicted, the Broncos looking very strong on the road. So let's go ahead and roll that video from out there at T-Bird Stadium in Yucaipa. And it was just Vista Murrieta from the very start. Jamie Nunnally taking that pass from Colton Gerhardt. He's got the touchdown. And then later, Colton Gerhardt calling his own number, gets loose. It's like having another running back going in for a touchdown here as Vista Murrieta looked very strong. That made it 21-zip. Colton Gerhardt to Derek Marmolejo, 28-zip. And this was only in the second quarter. And finally, that's Marmolejo going in for the touchdown. And one more score in the second quarter before we come back here to Kyle. It's Keith Ford getting the call as Vista Murrieta wins big time at Yucaipa. Kyle Glazer, the big ticket KG, was at the game. My first question is, did my boy Keyshawn Holmes play? I didn't see him in the highlights.
He didn't actually, but Vista Murrieta, even without Keyshawn, was still able to run the ball. We saw Colton Gerhardt. He ran for 3 touchdowns, had over 150 rushing yards. They had Ford with 2 rushing touchdowns. They had another running back go over 100 yards. So Vista Murrieta, they're just deep. The offensive line played great, dominated all night, and really that was the key. Vista Murrieta scored touchdowns on their first 5 possessions. They needed only 10 plays to jump out to a 21-0 lead. It was on the ground, but it was quick.
So we had talked about in our Blitz, our live preview show we do each week on Wednesday, that Yucaipa is a very good team. and they wanted to be tested against the very best. And we saw, like a lot of teams that go up against Vista Murrieta, there's still a gap there.
Oh, there's definitely a gap. But, Yucaipa was able to move the ball on their opening drive. They got it down to the Vista 25, stalled out a little bit. Later in the half, they were able to get down to the 4, couldn't quite punch it in. So Yucaipa's offense actually held its own at various points against a very good Vista Murrieta defense. The difference came on the other side of the ball. Like I said, Vista Murrieta had no problem doing whatever they wanted on offense, especially when Colton Gerhardt was in the game. He was only in for 5 drives. He took part in a touchdown on all 5 of those drives. And even when he was out, Isaiah Brazerto came in, led them on a touchdown drive and a field goal just before half. So really that's where the biggest difference was. And we saw Vista Murrieta, really their offensive line just kind of manhandled their way down the field.
And I touched on this quickly when we had the HS Game Time Top 10 rankings. Centennial lost, and Vista Murrieta looks impressive. So maybe a switch in the hierarchy of the 1-2 that we have on top.
All of us writers, we're going to have to vote on it here in a couple days. We'll see how I feel when I wake up on Sunday or Monday where my vote's going. But right now, Vista looks the part. They really do.
A lot of the teams in the top 10 lost today. Rancho Verde, Roosevelt. There was another one that's escaping me. Redlands East Valley, St. Bonaventure. So could be a big shakeup there. The good news, though, for Yucaipa is they know where they need to be. And they're going to be battle-tested at least when they play like the likes of Redlands East Valley and Eisenhower and the likes in Citrus Belt League play.
Exactly, and Coach Justin Price was talking about that. He really wants to get Yucaipa to be an elite program in the Inland Division. He's just not just gunning for Citrus Belt League titles. He wants them to be able to compete with Vista Murrieta, able to compete with Corona Centennial, and that's a multi-year process. And as far as Price is concerned, this is the beginning of that. They know where they stand on offense, which is actually not in a bad place. They have some work to do on defense, but they know where to go and what they need to do.
And you got to love that BG3 Billy Gustafson to Brandon Scott connection, right? Despite the final score, they did very well.
Well, Brandon Scott had 5 catches for 150 yards and a touchdown, but it wasn't from Billy Gustafson. Gustafson exited the game in the second quarter, took a hit to his left non-throwing shoulder. Coach Price said they weren't sure what the exact nature of it was. They're going to do some more tests tomorrow, but Tanner Ford came in, the backup. He ran for a touchdown, had a 52-yard touchdown pass to Brandon Scott.
Against the first string?
Some of it was against the first string, but the long pass was against the second string. But he put up 100 yards or so in a quarter and a half or so against the first string. So Yucaipa's got some depth. Like I said, the Yucaipa offense, I think, can come away feeling decently about themselves. It's the defense that, maybe needs to look in the mirror and say, okay, we have a lot of work to do.
All right, if you need more Kyle Glazer in your life, every Wednesday we do the Blitz live. We don't know where we're going to be at next week. We'll be somewhere, and we'll be talking high school football.
Absolutely.
All right, the big ticket Kyle Glazer joining us here on HS Game Time Live. All right, now let's go to Temecula Valley taking on Lakeside. Angel, let's go ahead and just roll that video down there. Our guy Javier Cabrera is checking out the student section. Loud and rowdy, right? And they've got a lot to be rowdy about because Temecula Valley is off to a great start this season. Maybe the sleeper in the Southwestern League. There's the great Kyle Plantier with the headset on, getting the plays, and they ran him very well. Plantier rolls out, and he's going to find Jensen, the big tight end there, 7-zip, Golden Bears in front. And then later, it's Kyle Plantier to Jensen again, 14-zip. Golden Bears leading Lakeside in this one. And this is still the opening frame. Garrison Flores running the ball inside the 10-yard line. He did the work. It's time to get paid. Garrison walks into the end zone. That makes it 21-0 Temecula Valley on top. Now in the second quarter, Plantier still doing work, finds Kumar Kalambi. I hope I'm saying that right because that's an awesome name. 28-zip Temecula Valley leading, and they would win by a final score of 40-0. So Temecula Valley, a big winner. All right, Adam Drexler hooked it up. King lost Sierra. We didn't know. This was like one of those bubble games. It's like, well, it's on the bubble. I don't know if we'll get it in the Friday show, but definitely in the Saturday. Well, it's in the Friday show right here. So if you got the highlights, Angel, let's go ahead and roll them. King and La Sierra. A lot of King action in this one, as you might expect. And they're going to air it out here. Jacob Rogers to McKean Farha, 7-zip. King in front. And then Ben Garcia from 1 yard out goes in, 13-zip King. La Sierra's Jacob Gonzalez fumbles, and King's Andrew Cloud recovers. And was that a touchdown there? And that would set up King's DeWitt Caswell for a 15-yard touchdown run, 34-zip. It's Dennis Pope here at HS Game Time Live. And Pope, you were out there. King, they look strong, right, after a couple games into the season.
They didn't start out strong. They had the ball on their own 16 to start the game, and they couldn't punch it in. They went 4 and out, and then they turned the ball over. So they didn't really get going there until the second quarter when Rogers found Farha over the middle on the slant play. Then they got things going a little bit. They seemed like they were clicking a little bit better on offense. And they had the running attack, mostly with Juwan Washington going pretty well. So I think Coach Carradine was happier about tonight's performance than he was last week.
When you talk about King, and I've only seen them just a little bit, they're huge up front, right? I mean, they've got a massive line. Did it seem like they were controlling up front and kind of pushing La Sierra around?
They had the running game going. So, yeah, they were forcing their will upon La Sierra quite a bit. La Sierra, to their credit, they got some smaller players, but they have some quickness on defense, and they were doing a pretty good job. Juwan Washington finished with almost 120 yards, and a couple other guys had touchdowns too.
And then moving forward, King and, Corona, and I wouldn't say maybe so much Roosevelt now, because it looks like Roosevelt could be a team that's going to battle for second place in the Big 8 League, because until someone beats Centennial, they're still that top dog. But I don't know, maybe King's a sleeper to challenge for that second spot. It seems like it's a logjam at this point with Roosevelt much improved, King's much improved. We know what Santiago and Norco's all about. So I don't know. What do you think about King moving forward?
I think King can move forward. I don't think anybody's sure about what Norco's really about right now. Santiago looks a lot better tonight than they had the first 2 weeks. Centennial losing kind of throws everybody for a loop, although they did lose to Poly, so yeah. I think everybody's going to give them a pass. King should be right there for that number 4 position in the Big 8 League, and with the possibility of making it for the first time in forever. I can't even remember the last year they made the playoffs. On
the flip side, La Sierra, their new head coach, Jeff Roney, probably still trying to figure these things out. If you remember, he didn't come onto the scene until I think it was mid-July, late July. I mean, so he's still trying to get, implement his style of play, get to know his kids. And, what do you think about La Sierra as they prepare for River Valley League season?
They run a wing sweep offense, and they struggled against the King. And I would think they would struggle against any Big 8 League team or any team in a division above them. They just don't have the pieces right now. The McCoy brothers, Jonathan and Jordan, they do well, and they run the ball inside mostly, but they don't have much speed on the outside, and they just don't have a whole lot of physicality. So,
all right, Pope, you got anything else? King La Sierra?
No, as far as King goes, I'm just surprised that they were able to hold on to the shutout in the second half, and they held La Sierra to just 107 total yards of offense, and La Sierra didn't get past their own 46 the entire game, so they didn't even play on King's half at all.
Wow.
Yeah, but other than that, as far as the other Big 8 League teams go, I'm the only one that picked Centennial to lose. So
you did?
I'm pretty happy about that.
You were, weren't you? Yeah, you went out. Well, yeah. I guess.
And I picked Murrieta Valley to beat Eastville Roosevelt, so I guess I'm not very big on Big 8 League teams right now. So.
There was another game that was kind of split down the middle between the
Great Oak and Rancho Verde.
Yes. Yeah. Who'd you have in that one?
I think I had Verde.
I think I did too.
Yeah.
Oh well, Hemet Talkwitz and Murrieta Mesa. Who'd you have in that?
That's a tough one too. I probably picked Talkwitz, but I'm not sure at the moment. I know they wear like the same color. I get them confused.
They're 2 high-scoring teams. When I saw the final score, I'm like, that can't be right.
Yeah.
13-6.
Yeah, that doesn't work well for them usually.
Yeah. So 13-6. Murrieta Mesa was the winner, and Centennial did lose to Long Beach Poly. 35-28 was the final score. Yeah, and if you look at the picks in the newspaper, Dennis Pope, the only person that picked the Jackrabbits, which many of us in the newsroom were like, oh, you can't pick against Centennial. They're our team. That's our team. That's our local team. Well, they're one of us.
I picked against them last week, too, against St. Bonaventure, because they had lost 2 previous games against St. Bonnie's.
You are right.
And I ended up beating my shoe on that one. But this week I knew I was onto something. I knew Centennial was going to lose a game sometime in the preseason.
So you're just going to pick against them all season long until they finally
lost? Maybe not league season, but definitely in the preseason, because they've scheduled very tough games. I mean, who schedules Poly? Nobody else, right?
Yeah, so. Yeah. Poly was coming off a loss, I believe, the previous week.
So
I don't know what that means in terms of, what kind of team Poly is, or the quality of wins going forward for Centennial. Like, if that Long Beach Poly loss is going to look really bad. Yeah. Maybe Long Beach Poly runs the table from here, and they're going to be like the number 1 team in the state, and then it doesn't look so bad.
Well, coming in, Centennial was ranked 3rd, and Long Beach Poly was ranked 7th or 9th or something. So they're right there, and it's in the preseason. It's so hard to tell. It's basically you line up your big uglies against one another and see who wins the fight at the end of the night.
It's, call me old-fashioned, but it's not HS Game Time Live until Dennis Pope says the big uglies.
Yeah.
So, all right, Dennis, thank you very much. You're the best, man. All right, Sanji and Ramona, you're up next. Angel, let's go ahead and roll those highlights. Haven't seen a lot of Sanji, but man, they are good. We got our first video of them tonight taking on the Rams at Ramona Stadium. Here's Ramona. They're much improved as well this season. They've looked pretty good in a couple of games. Picked up that big win against Rubidoux to start out the season. That Spartans quarterback, Tafir Rashid Mills, finding Nathan Meadors for the touchdown. Long night for the Rams. Dante Finney running to the paint for Sanji. And the Spartans just getting it cracking tonight because they got a lot of offense in the first half. I believe it was like 40s by the half when our guy Angel was taken off. There's the deuce. He goes in for the touchdown. That was Alvin Bibbs. Alvin goes in for the score. Ramona now with the ball. Quarterback Damon Mays picked off by Meadors. That guy does scores touchdowns, interceptions. Great player for San Gorgonio. And just a very good team overall. Maybe the favorite to win the San Andreas. Sanji goes to work on offense. It's Finney getting the call again. Scoots into the paint for another San Gorgonio touchdown. This time, Rashid Mills calls his own number and slicing through traffic in for another score. And all Sanji in this one against Ramona tonight. We'll cap off the highlights with another Finney touchdown as San Gorgonio beats Ramona by a final score of, let's see if I can remember off the top of my head, 60-zip. 62. Isn't that what I said? 62? Did I say 60? I meant 62. So 62-zip, San Gorgonio is a winner. All right, if you were sticking around for the big Roosevelt versus Murrieta Valley highlights, now is the time. We're going to get to those highlights before we wrap up the show. Got a couple more highlights to pass along before we wrap this thing up. So, Angel, go ahead and roll those highlights. Murrieta Valley and the Mustangs, both teams 2-0 heading into this huge contest. And that place was packed down there. Two teams that you figured will be in the mix. Playoff time. Roosevelt much improved, and Vinny Fazio doing big things down there at Murrieta Valley. Now, Roosevelt was trailing in this one when they strike back in the third quarter. Joseph Muriel to praise Obizu for the touchdown, and Roosevelt goes in front 28-24 in the third. Now the Nighthawks go to work. Preston Miller, the quarterback, hooks up with Hobie Teets. Big pass play for Murrieta Valley gets the gang moving in the right direction, and the Nighthawks are going to go back in front when Michael Robles gets the call, goes in for the touchdown. The Nighthawks up 31-28, but this game was far from over. Back and forth, they went in the second half. Look at all the people around the end zone. That place was packed, and for good reason. A great game between Roosevelt and Murrieta Valley. The Mustangs, James Kidding with some horsepower. That Mustang can run. Big run there for Carradine. And then later on that same drive, it's Muriel to Jalen Brown for the score. So Roosevelt regains the lead 34-31. But the lead would be short-lived because Murrieta Valley would strike. Robles goes in for another touchdown. That makes it 38-34, Nighthawks on top. And then on the next offensive possession for Murrieta Valley, give it to Robles. Another big run here. He will not go down. Robles getting another first down for Murrieta Valley. And then check out Jordan Silva. He's going to score this touchdown. And I didn't see how the exchange went. Was it a handoff? I mean, he wears number 90. He's a big guy. Did anyone see that? He's a big guy. Maybe he took the handoff. I'll have to examine the highlights a little closer when I get back to my desk. But he puts the game away 45-34. So 11-point lead seemed pretty safe. Roosevelt did get the ball back, trying to close the gap late in this one. But Lafayette Waters comes up with the interception in the end zone for Murrieta Valley. And that would seal the deal as Murrieta Valley is a winner, 45-34. So the Nighthawks improved to 3-0 on the season. Roosevelt dropped to 2-1. Great game featuring two of the top teams in our area. All right, not too far from Murrieta Valley at Murrieta Mesa, the Rams were locking horns with the Tahquitz Titans. And this game, as we just talked with Dennis Pope, featured two teams that have outstanding offenses. But this was a low-scoring defensive battle, and that's what we're going to show you. I hope you like defense in your highlights. Let's roll those highlights from Murrieta Mesa. The Rams all fired up for this one. I did pick Tahquitz. I did. I don't know why. I just did. And but Pope's right. They look like they're the same team with those uniforms. Fernando Blanco breaking off a big run for the Titans here. I actually kind of like that look. They usually go like black and gold, but I like that look, kind of organized. And then later it's the Rams' Wesley Scott coming up with a sack for Murrieta Mesa. And the Titans, Christian Bertrand repays the favor with a big defensive play of his own. He's got the sack for Tockwitz. Now it's the Titans on offense, on the attack. Davion Fields comes up with the catch for Tockwitz and about at midfield, but they would not score on that drive, so we're going back the other way. Rams with the ball, the quarterback Peyton Ewell. He's going to take off on the run. That would lead to a field goal for Murrieta Mesa. They went up 3-zip, and the final score in this one was 13-6. So not a lot of points, but Murrieta Mesa does get enough to hold off Tockwitz. 13-6, the final score. All right, one more time. Let's go through the scoreboards before we wrap things up so everyone's caught up on week 2 of the high school football season. And the big one, Centennial losing to Long Beach Poly. The only man in Riverside County to call this was Dennis Pope. Maybe, I don't know. There might have been others, but he was the only staff to pick Centennial to lose to Long Beach Poly 35-28. Heritage all over Beaumont. They win big in B City 49-13. Patriots. Grand Terrace defeats Arroyo Valley 37-28. Nice win for Harold Strauss and the Grand Terrace Titans. Cajon over Kaiser. That was kind of an upset maybe here. 21-15. How about them Cowboys? All right, also tonight, Canyon Springs 29-22 over Jurupa Hills. We had the highlights. It looked like Jurupa Hills had the halftime lead, might have went on to the victory, but not the case there. Oceanside, the best team out of the San Diego area, 35-14 over Chaparral. Also tonight, Eisenhower putting up 51 on Colton, 51-24. Ike, a big winner against the Yellow Jackets. Corona falls to Canyon of Anaheim, 45-17. Santiago wins at Elsinore. Win number 1 this season, 35-21 against the Tigers. Great Oak, Rancho Verde went to overtime. The Wolfpack with a big win on the road against the Mustangs, 43-42. Hemet tossing the shutout against Indio, 58-0. My boy, Jeff Reitz and the Bulldogs get it done. Rim of the World, the Fighting Scots. They defend the mountain. They defeat Supa Dupa, Jurupa Valley, 34-0, the final in that one. King La Sierra, another shutout in this one. You just saw Dennis Pope breaking it all down as the Wolves win 34-zip against the Eagles. Lakeside, a lot of shutouts tonight. Is it just me? Shutout fever tonight. Temecula Valley, 40-zip. The Golden Bears with a big win. We had those highlights featuring our guy Kyle Plantier. Paris and Pacific, Javier tracked down this score. This was the only score. He went out there, he got it, and Paris 24-20 over Pacific and Don Markham's team. So, Paloma Valley 56-12 over West Valley. We will have highlights of this game on the big Saturday show. Valley View over Patriot 35-6, a very quality win for the Eagles because the Warriors are a very good team. San G, you just saw the highlights. Man, they are good. Don't be surprised to see them in the HS Game Time Top 10. 62-zip against Ramona. St. Bonaventure defeats Redlands East Valley 35-14. We were told St. Bonnie star quarterback Ricky Town did not play, the Alabama commit. Summit over Miller 24-14, so the Skyhawks with a 10-point win against the Rebels. Also tonight, Vista Murrieta over Yucaipa 52-13. The Broncos with a big win on the road. Billy Gustafson, hope he's okay, the quarterback for Yucaipa, knocked out of that one. Vista del Lago loses at Cathedral City 42-6, the final score. San Jacinto comes up short at Apple Valley 18-14. Moreno Valley, big win against Chaffee, 35-21. Good to see the Vikings check into the win column with a win. Murrieta Mesa, 13-6 over Tockwitz. Yes, that is the correct score. Low-scoring defensive battle, just how they like it. Murrieta Valley, Roosevelt, the Nighthawks, 45-34 in the game of the week here at the Press Enterprise. Norco gets a win with Larry Baker in charge, 37-16 against Etowanda. JW North losing to La Quinta, 49-7, so the Huskies still looking for the first win on campus in their new digs, that brand new stadium. And that's a wrap. Those are all the scores from Friday night in week 2 of the high school football season. And if I've got my list here, we're going to have more highlights on the big Saturday show. We are expecting video from Paloma Valley, West Valley, Redlands East Valley against St. Bonaventure, Heritage Beaumont. So there's several more games that we will have highlights from in the big Saturday show. So please check out HS Game Time on Saturday afternoon for a complete recap from all of week 2 of the high school football season. And please join us on Wednesday as we will preview week 3 of the high school football season. Join myself and Kyle Glazer as we will be live at 5:30. Not sure where exactly yet, but we will be somewhere, and we'll be breaking down week 3 of the high school football season. We'll have some guests live on the show, some coaches and players, and we'll get you set for the next week in high school football. But before we look ahead to week 3 and put week 2 in the rearview mirror, we'll break down it all on the Saturday scouting report with all your highlights from Thursday, Friday in week 2. I'm Pep Fernandez. For everyone else here at HS Game Time, thank you for watching, and we will do it all over again next Friday at 10:45. Have a great weekend.